Hello and welcome back to Amnesia the Dark Descent. So last episode we made our way through the sewers, and now we are going to make our way through whatever this section is called that actually kind of evades me, and we are going to be making our way through the last quarter of the game. So first things first, there is a lever here that I can pull, which this one isn't working, but this one here is also broken. And let's see a note.
1839. I can't stop sweating and shaking. The warding ritual was not something of a sane mind. I did not even realize the dungeon was still in use. Alexander had his servants bring one of the prisoners, a murderer, he told me. Alexander made all the arrangements, but he said I had to perform the ritual in order to have the right effect. The shadow could be led astray by the blood of another. Killing the man would provide us precious time. What else could I do? Alexander said it had to be done. He is saving my life. I don't have the luxury of argument.
Yeah, so Daniel is, of course, justifying his actions. And I just went ahead and I took a little bit of oil that was out of here. Oh, there. Actually, apparently I didn't. I forgot to do that. So that's good. Now I'm at about a third of my oil capacity, and I'm going to try to limit the usage of it a little bit just to be safe, because there are going to be some pretty dark sections I'm going to be going into. So first I want to head down here, and this is actually going to lead us to our true progress. So now that we know exactly which door that is, I can't speak for some stupid reason. Let's head on down here. So this one just has a tinderbox, and I think the other door might be locked. I think this door is going, yeah, it won't budge. I think we're actually going to use that door sometime in the future. Anyway, we're going to head on down this way. We have to head all the way down the stairs, and we're going to make our way into a room where we're going to fix those levers. Also, fun fact, in this room, if your sanity gets low enough in the right conditions, you'll actually encounter the big spiders. And they're actually the exact same spiders from Penumbra. They were imported into this game, and apparently they were actually originally going to be an enemy that you could fight and deal with. But I guess they got rid of them, and I don't remember if it was because they didn't work with the game's story, or if it was something else, but there's actually footage out there that you can find of the spiders in Amnesia just jumping at the person. It was like a tech demo piece for them. I would have sworn there was a thing of oil down here, but I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Alright, so... Oop. Oh god, that's bright.
Agrippa, I need you to stay awake. Can you feel the syringe?
No, I can't feel anything. Alexander?
Yes.
Soon, I won't even be able to move, will I?
Your life is safe.
I don't doubt that. But will it be worth living?
Yeah, so that was Alexander and his friend Agrippa, and he was giving him some sort of paralytic, and, this is Agrippa. Hello.
Help me.
He wants us to help him, he wants us to turn on this.
Thank you. You have my gratitude. My name is Agrippa. Who might you be? Daniel? Like the prophet thrown into the lion's den? Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel? You want to stop Alexander? Oh my, so Babylon shall fall, you say? You worry too much. Alexander is toothless without an awl. He has one. That's not very promising at all. The sanctum is basically impenetrable. Well, guess why more. It could be breached by another, but Alexander broke his, my own, a long time ago. Really? Well, if you tell the truth, by all means, seek out the pieces of the broken oil and mend away. I believe he uses them for torture now. They practically leak madness, which is quite useful, I understand. There should be 6 of them. Look around the choir and the transept. You should be able to find them there.
Yeah, so that just gave us our little objective, but first things first.
I hate to bother you further, but if you're really going after Alexander, would you consider taking me with you? I know it sounds ridiculous. Look at me. But if you find anything concerning a man named Johann Weyer, would you please bring it to me? I believe he was working on a way to help me. A recipe for some sort of potion, a tonic to free me from this husk of mine.
Okay, so that gave us both of our objectives, actually. First, we need to go into those two rooms. This is going to lead to the transept and to the choir. As well, we need to find some notes from Johann Weyer.
Oh, that one. So many of Alexander's things are breaking down. Look around. Maybe the other room.
Yes, so...
All over this place. You'll find a way to fix it.
Yes, I will now. Stop talking. Alright. So what we actually have to do... Yeah, we have to go up here. This... Agrippa, shut up.
Baron Alexander.
Okay, I don't actually care about him. He just keeps on repeating his stories and stuff. But yes, that's Agrippa, and he got left here. And as I was saying, we need to find a way to make a potion in order to free Agrippa from that rotten husk of his. And I also need to head back up here. With that gear wheel that we just raised next to him, we went ahead and opened up, we reactivated these levers. And these levers are going to open up the doors to the transept and to the choir, both of which are going to have pieces of the orbs. And Agrippa wasn't kidding. Those orbs do actually just straight up leak madness. And that was that little ringing sound that we heard earlier. So this one does that. This one does the second. I don't remember exactly which one corresponds to the choir and the transept, but it doesn't really matter. You get both of them anyway. So we're going to now head down here, and let's see. Yeah, my head is still crystal clear, which is surprising considering I just talked to a corpse that's like 150 years old.
Daniel, you have gone too far. I have to stop you. I can't let you proceed any further. I'm sorry, my friend.
Well, Alexander, you can shove it, because I don't think Daniel has any intention of stopping. Alright, so now that we opened up those two doors, we're going to do a couple of little things here. Before I go into the transept and the choir... Yes, thank you, I know, Daniel's awesome. He has the bad habit of just talking too much, but I'm going to go in here, and we're actually going... Good timing to run out of oil, Daniel. But yes, you can see all of this. These are all Daniel's memories of what he did. And first, I'm getting this, because that's a chunk of meat, and we actually need that to make the potion later. Okay, so we have two ways to go. We can either go into the transept or into the choir. I'm going to do the choir first, because that's actually the slightly harder and scarier area, in my opinion. There's actually, like, real danger there. And let's quickly check around. God, I'm at 39 tinder boxes. I'd like to get maybe 2 or 3 more things of oil. Alright, yeah, that'll light up this area enough for me. And actually, you know what? Let's light up this as well to make sure. Okay. Let me see if I can grab... perfect. Anything else in here? I thought there was one of these. Brace yourself, it's gonna get bright. In court, the Order of the Black Eagle spew their politics at each other, while I sit quietly in place, willfully forgotten. Once in a while, someone will notice me and lose themselves in a silent cower before regaining their senses. They all know I am one and the same Alexander who helped their fathers and grandfathers to found this great order. I've seen them take their fathers' places, and they too will grow old and pass away, while I remain the same, aged not by time, but anguish. Yes, and that was the Order of the Black Eagle that we saw the note from. It was, I think it was Wilhelm House of Jarek or something like that, where he was going to be Alexander's, like, kidnapper. Anyway, let's see what this note says. Agrippa channels Weyer. Weyer taunts me from the other side. I trusted him with my true reasons for my effort and still he insists on me releasing Agrippa. How an enlightened man can show such a lack of compassion and a seat of power disgusts me. I can't bring myself to part from Agrippa, as he is and has been for centuries my only links to the world beyond. Weyer claims he tries his best to release me from my banishment, but he needs me to give him Agrippa first so he too can help. If he could guarantee success, I would happily oblige, but how am I to part from him if my return might be denied? I know what they are capable of. I have seen their deception. Optimism is the most hopeless feeling, but I must retain it. I shall prepare for his release. To release Agrippa without killing him, Weyer told me to feed him a tonic made from a paralyzer, vitae, and tempter. The poisonous fungi should work as a paralyzer if I can find the internal gland from a large specimen. The choir seems to be fertile grounds for this sort. I should then be able to extract its contents with the proper tools. The vitae could be extracted as usual from any agonized human victim's blood. I just need large amounts to distill it properly. Remember to collect this during the next torture session. Tamped, on the other hand, will prove more difficult. I don't think it exists in this world. Simply writing the word with these letters looks wrong. I believe it's a property of the secretion of the water-dwelling Kernic. I will have to address Vire with this, as he will have to supply me with a host. Also, a properly contained well should suffice to contain it. Yep, and that gives us the 3 components that we need in order to make the potion to free Agrippa. Anyway, let's head on here. So we're heading into the entrance to the choir first off. The fear had begun to drown him again. He reached once more for the empty bottle of laudanum. In frustration, he smashed it against the bedpost. Alright, so we're going to go in here first, and there's 2 doorways. Let's check this one first and foremost. Ah, wonderful. One of these. And I'm not sure how much the actual lantern is going to be any use here, but let's listen to this first off. After the men had secured the prisoner, the ritual had begun. And then there's the second door here, and this is where it gets kind of screwy.
15th of August, 1839. The blood wards are failing. The shadow beckons, and its cry disarms my actions. Hurry. No time to spare. You have to kill another. Alexander produces a knife. He wants me to cut the flesh. Do it. Save yourself. He is a murderer, Daniel. He is evil. A cold-blooded killer. Hurry. Alexander, you must let me be. I have to concentrate. Take the man, cut the lines, cut the flesh, watch the blood spill, let it come. Please, I didn't do anything. Paint the man, cut the lines. Paint the man, cut the lines. Please, the man cries. Now you see. I did well. One life for another. You hear me, guardian of the orb? I did all this for you. Now, once more, withdraw your shadow from my domain. Alexander, there isn't much time. I can feel it. We must act swiftly. I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah, so that was a memory of a ritual that Daniel did with Alexander. And those rituals actually don't do anything. And you'll also notice now these corpses are here. It's a little side effect of what happens when you do that event. And yes, they painted the lines and they cut the flesh. Yeah. Those rituals, they do nothing more than piss off the orb, like the shadow. It actually doesn't banish it at all. Let's go to the choir main hall quick. Such filth, he thought. Good men can safely cheer their departure, as they are nothing but a burden to mankind. They shall not be missed. Yes, so of course, what monster has never managed to justify his actions? Now, this is a really clever little bit of game design. What they do is they immediately, and they actually talk about it when you,
Intentions, Daniel.
Oh, wait a sec.
Salvation. It used to be yours, but now you only seek misplaced revenge. How do you justify your violence? Is it for the greater good? Are you doing the world a service? It is you who caused all this pain and death. If you had accepted your fate and submitted to the orb when you first discovered it, none of this would have happened. It is curiosity in league with your selfishness that is killing us both.
Yeah, so as I was saying, there's a really clever bit of game design, and they talk about it in the developer commentary. When you come into this area, the game controls your camera and it makes you look up. What you're doing is you're seeing the pipes, and the pipes actually lead to the 3 places you need to go. No, don't kill her, Daniel says. Yeah. And what that does is that gives you a little bit of a baseline just to have a way to go. You don't really need it, but it's useful if you get lost in this place.
The wheel is good for keeping your victims still during the procedure. They can be bound around the circumference or simply stretched across, tying limbs to the spokes and rim. All tools are by this point useful, and you may administer the torture in any way you like. But the forte of the wheel is the gaps. When you have decided that the victim shall die, you can smash their limbs with a hammer, making them fold in between the frame.
But they'll die. Too quickly, I mean.
No, don't worry. The human body is much more resilient. They can survive for days until they finally succumb.
Yeah, so of course, we're going to learn about some of the torture methods that they use to draw vitae from their people. And we can actually interact with most of them, and we'll get a little bit of a tidbit of one of the poor victims' deaths. The murderer's limbs were tied to the spokes of the wheel. They turned the wheel slowly but with intent, so the rope secured around his legs stretched and cracked the bone. He no longer had the strength to scream. The two men looked at each other knowingly, took a hammer, and struck the victim's chest in a final act of mercy. I guess if that's how you define mercy. But yes, so these rooms here, they have the ringing, and that's because they have a piece of the orb. Its color and texture constantly changing. Alright, so that's one of them. So each of the transept and the choir is going to have a single piece, or is going to have 3 pieces, one each in each of the torture rooms, so there's 6 torture rooms in total. So let me go on up here. I want to grab you, and I think... yeah, perfect, here we are. So there's actually a way that you can be a little bit clever here. If you're quick about it, what you can do is you can actually take the brute and you can make him run off the edge here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that or not, but it does make this section a lot easier because I think there's only one of them. I don't know, I can just barely see him down there. Let's go ahead and let me pop another thing of oil. Yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. No point in draining my sanity too quickly. Oh. What? Where the heck? Where is this? Is he behind me? Oh, hey. What's up, buddy? Okay. So that was actually not quite what I expected to happen. I didn't know... I'd had it happen once before and he actually fell off. I didn't realize that he despawned. Oh, that's hilarious. Alright. Oh, hey, look. The tissue is quite soft. Should be possible to break open. So you can go ahead and just keep slapping it. What that is this is the poison gland from the fungi that we actually need in order to make progress on the potion for Agrippa. And let's see. So there's this. This is another orb piece. And there's also supposed to be some rope. And I'm going to be really careful because we need the rope to tie to the jar in order to collect blood for the other portion of the potion. And I can never remember exactly where it is. So let's go ahead. Let's first click this, and this is a brazen bull. The traitor did not know what to think of the brass bull as he was forced to enter it. Only when the heat of fire began to scorch his skin and cook his flesh did he realize it was to be his tomb. His screams of pain echoed inside the brass chamber and traveled through the complex instruments which was the bull's head. Outside, the men could hear the brazen bull bellow. Yes, so these guys did some pretty screwed up stuff. And yeah, what would happen, and this is actually a real instrument, and I think the rumor goes the guy who made it was actually forced into it by the king that he made it for, and apparently it like made the bones super shiny or something like that. But if we go ahead and do this, we can actually light it up, and then, yeah, we actually get an experience of what it was like for the guy, and you can hear the bull roar. And all of these pipes, I don't know if I'm actually going to showcase it or not. If you go into all of the cells, sometimes there's a little tidbit of information that can happen, and what it talks about is using the screams of the victims to drive others insane, because they just sit there and listen to their fellow captives like screaming and crying out, and they know that it's going to happen to them as well. Alright, so I'm going out here. There's now a third one, and in order to get... oh god. I need to hide because I think, yeah, there is a second one of these now, or it maybe actually respawned the same one from earlier. I don't know exactly how it works because I normally just hide from them. I don't try to break this game. I have a little too much respect for it. So let's see. I want to know exactly where he goes because I can't. There's not a good way to jump across. You actually have to find a ladder, or not a ladder. You have to find a bridge and cross it that way. So I almost have to. Daniel gets like the blurry crazy vision before... oh god, okay, that's not good. Yeah, Daniel gets the blurry crazy vision if he sees them before before you actually can. Like, he sees them through the fog, and that makes life a lot more difficult. Let's see. Over there is where I actually need to go, and I think just past where the fog stops is it's a bridge that leads over there. And I don't know exactly where the monster is, though, and that's a minor issue. Yeah, because you can hear that, like, screeching noise. I don't know exactly what instrument that is. Hello. Okay. Where are you? There you are. Okay, this is actually a minor problem, though, because I need you to, like, properly head out. Oh, God. Oh, no, don't tell me you can climb up here. I didn't know that. Okay. Let's do this. Oh, dear. That's not good. Let's really quickly... I want to heal up because I think... Oh, God. Dandel, I need you to move, buddy. I need you to really quickly move. Oh, Jesus, I can barely see. I'm so sorry. This video probably looks like trash, because the like shimmering blur effect they use is really, really rough, especially if you let your sanity get too low, which mine currently is. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, I did not. I've never really had that happen though, and it's why this area is both really creepy and, in my opinion, a little bit annoying, because of the fact that it's so fogged up, but enemy and Daniel's line of sight don't care about the fact that it's fogged up, so you can still be seen from a distance. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Got a tinderbox. I really don't want to end up missing the rope, because I don't want to have to come back here for it. Let's see. Let's grab that. Some laudanum. And one of these little back areas I know has the orb, and I think it might be this one over here. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So that was shattered, thank God. And now we can actually go up here. It's an Iron Maiden. The forger stood absolutely still. The casket had been closed, but a faint light made its way inside. A myriad of spikes pointed at him, glittering as they waited for his body to slip for just a moment. His knee jerked and he felt blood trickle down his leg. In pain, his head fell slightly forward. It took him a while to realize his eye had been ruptured and begun to leak. Not a fan of that. No, thank you. Oh, God, that's awful. Ugh. It's horrible. Alright, so that was the third piece of the orb. We're now going to go all the way out, and I think the easiest way to do this is if we just go here and we stick off to the right side. It's a little shortcut you can use if you're getting chased by a monster, by the way. Yeah, if we head this way, we're eventually just going to slam right into the door that we left. Yep, you can even track the pipes, and they all do lead back here. And we can get out of here. That had gone too far, the man was suffocating as he could no longer breathe properly between the lashes. Displeased, he started to look for the Damascus rose oil. Yes, and I guess the rose oil was actually part of what was used for the amnesia drink Daniel took. And what they would do is they would torture people, and then they would give them the amnesia drink so they would forget the mental trauma of the torture. The thick liquid spread across his tongue. He swallowed it excessively to consume every drop. He looked through the window at the widespread forest and the morning sun. Will this ever end, he thought. Well, Daniel, it certainly will end at some point. Alright, so that made this section... God, I'm really running low on oil, and I don't like that. I'm hoping that this next area that we're going to will have some more... Yes, it was you needing to be quiet, please. Alright, so he has those. Now, I can go ahead, and we're actually going to use this well. You might remember that Alexander was talking about needing a well to harvest the Tempter from the Karnak. What this is going to do is it's going to eat the meat, and it's going to leave Tempter behind on it. And let's see, something is pulling the rope. Luckily, it can't climb up here because it's basically just a stupid fish. But what it can do is when it eats it all, it can go ahead, and it left behind stuff on the bone. Come on, let's go. You can actually fall down here, so be careful. Yeah, I picked up the remains, and the bone is covered in mucus. That apparently is the Tempter. Alright, so we're going to head on this way. I want to... Yeah, we're going into the transept now, and the good news is that the transept is actually a little nicer than the choir. Carefully cutting the man open made him think. This is how father must feel about his craft. Being an artisan, relying on one's skill to perform something so delicate grants a certain form of pride. Yeah, and I think... I want to say that eventually, it's either in a note or in some of the side content, Daniel's father is like a butcher or something.
How much
Or like a
more am I
carpenter.
supposed to withstand? Kill me already! Kill me!
This one. Prepare him.
Yes, and that, of course, is another example of one of these people, as they slowly lose their minds, they get more and more flustered, more and more angry, and more just susceptible to the tortures that are being inflicted upon them. Ah, okay, here we go. So here's the rope I need. Here is some lovely tinder, and, oil, good. I was hoping there'd be more of that around here. Oh, even better, there's one of these more memory things. I will say, the choir alone is one of the reasons that I'm a little hesitant to think that I'm ever going to get the tinderbox achievement, because I know there's like 2 or 3 scattered in there, and I just don't want to deal with that area because it's a little tedious to get through. But first things first, let's go through. It's going to be it's going to be bright, so brace yourself. Is it you, my love, I miss the most, or is it perhaps myself? I know what I have become. I am not blind. I am a monster to them, a demonic sultan perched on a dark mountaintop. There's little I can do to redeem myself. The Black Eagle fears me, and after Napoleon's defeat, it is only a matter of time before they will demand my head on a platter. I must remove myself from this land. This time it must work. If I can't return home now, I shall perish. And it's still never really explained what exactly Alexander did to get banished. Notes on torture. There are quite a few things to be said about torture. Give me 1 second here. Yes, quite a few things to be said about torture. I had figured that the reaction I would get from the victims would be highly individual. Thankfully, this is not the case. The humans all have a similar approach to dealing with physical pain and the terror of anticipation. I can't stress enough the importance of restraining the victims before proceeding, even though this timid creature can break out in fits of violence where their strength exceeds their expected prowess. If proper care isn't put into breaking the victim, this should not be a problem, but it will also hinder the effect I am after. The right steps to take are, therefore, to restrain while the victim is dazed, proceed to apply by presenting the form of torture you are about to apply, and then continue with the actual act. The point of presentation is to infuse torture. The human mind is extremely efficient, as it will trigger itself into greater fear simply by imagining it. While applying pain, make sure to avoid massive damage, as it will prove more efficient if the process can be sustained. Also apply the pain in doses if possible, with strikes to let the body settle. If you are whipping or cutting the victim, strike once, wait for the pain to subdue, then strike again. As long as the body suffers, it will continue to produce the vitae and saturate the blood with its properties. Only with careful performance will the victim yield maximum effect. If the victim doesn't behave as expected, it is likely that all will be for naught. Before this happens, feed them the amnesia drink and try again later. Yeah, so that's where they're saying that if you do break a person, you can actually go ahead and just like dull them to the pain, and then their body won't produce the vitae. Which that note there, I think more than anything, really sells the idea that vitae is actually adrenaline, because that's what happens when you're panicking. Your body starts, you get nervous, you start panicking, you freak out a little bit, and then you start making adrenaline. Alright, so here are 3 more of these, and you will notice I did get the rope and I attached it to this glass jar, so it has a string tied, and what that does is that's going to give us, oh, there's our orb piece, that's going to allow us to collect the blood from one of these rooms. Let's go ahead and see. The kidnapper sat on her knees with her hands tied behind her back. She felt her hands being lifted and her body followed. Her shoulders gave way to the weight of her own body and cracked loudly. The suspended woman cried hysterically as the men contemplated their next step. For the record, all of these are actually real torture methods, and you actually have a picture here with like a really weird step. I think it's supposed to be implied that that guy doing the torture there is one of the gatherers because of the kind of screwed up face. But yes, and that there, it's actually, I think it's called a strappado or something like that, and I think if we crank this, let's see. Yeah, you can see the weight, you can see the blood stains, you can see the chair. Yeah, that's a really bad way to go. So it must be awful. Alright, well, now that we did that one, we're gonna head on to the second. Get her back? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's that Daniel, like, if he's more crazy, he does certain events, and I'm trying to show off as much as possible. So some of these are actually a little bit unexpected to me.
The cradle is ready.
Good.
You're a man. How can you partake in this? Is he all right?
He is one of the wicked. Don't pay his lies any attention.
I'm not a bad man. It was an accident.
He set a man on fire.
It wasn't my fault. Why won't anyone listen? That's horrible.
Of course. We are dealing with monsters here.
Yeah, so this was the arsonist, I believe. And let's just see about what happened to him. This is called the Judas Cradle, if you ever, for some reason, want to read about it.
Please, do anything, whatever you want. Anything. I'll do anything. I'm innocent.
Yeah, so the Judas Cradle, let's just have a read quick. The arsonist kept crying as he was slowly lowered on and off the impaler. It didn't take much to break him. They had meant for him to die, but the torture was working beyond their expectations. It wasn't the method, it was the arsonist. He was different from the others. They could make him forget again. Yeah, so this particular individual apparently was either weaker-willed or had something to him that made it easier for them to torture him and to break him down. Because they suck, and Daniel and Alexander have a lot to answer for here. Yeah, and you can actually see, I didn't even notice this before, there's one poor fellow who was just locked up in a cage like that and left to die. Alright, and now on to the third room, and I think this is the one that we're going to go and get the blood in. And I know I'm being a little bit wasteful with the tinderboxes, but honestly, we're not going to be using them that much longer. Yes, and Daniel just kind of realized what he was hearing. This area is a pretty rough one. I'm just going to show you a picture. That's what they did to this person. Yeah, that's a really, really bad way to go. And there's a reason that they went ahead and they actually tied them up upside down. Let's go ahead and let's hear why. The rapist hung upside down, his tears soiled with blood flooding from his belly. The saw between his legs had lodged itself in the hip and wouldn't move any further. The men stepped back and waited for the victim to drain. Yeah, so the reason that they did that is so that all of the blood would actually flow to the head, and that would allow the victim to stay alive longer. And again, that's actually a real thing. That was done for real purposes, and it's a pretty horrific way to kill somebody. Alright, so now I'm actually crystal clear, despite what I just read and remembered happened, and I have all 3 of the ingredients I need in order... Let's see, I have all 6 orb pieces. Yeah, I have all 3 of the ingredients that I need to make the potion, and all 6 orb pieces in order to make the orb. So let's head on down here, and now we're going to head on back into the room that has Agrippa. Except we're not actually going to head back towards Agrippa, we're then going to move further past the area with the cells that had the meat. Something died inside of him that day. Watching that man slip away was more than his mind was willing to handle. Yes, and as we're getting more into the story as well, we're hearing more about what exactly happened to Daniel. How he slowly broke down and how he was no longer able...
I know I have no right to ask anything of you.
Don't worry, I'll try to get you out.
In your heart to gather the ingredients for Vire's tongue before attempting to mend the orb, there might still be a chance for you to save me.
Okay.
Please, my fate is in your hands.
Yeah, so what this is, he's actually talking about is one of 3 potential endings to the game. I'm going to choose my preferred ending first, and then I'll go ahead and I'll show off the other 2. Alright, so let's do this. Let's see, there's nothing in here. I know one of these, I think, has some tinder in it, and I don't really need them per se, but I still want to try. Here we go, tinderbox. And I do think one of the ones upstairs, if I go into it, it's going to have it'll have another white flash, and then it'll have another hallucination. It'll be a memory of one of the victims here. Alright, yeah, and I really don't remember which one it is. I think one of these, oh, here it is.
I know this. I've been here already. I know this taste. A taste of Damascus rose obfuscating the truth in a dim game. They may sweep the traces from my memory, but my body remembers. Its cuts speak volumes, even though my mind remains silent. They will be back. They will be back.
I was looking up there to see if there was a note. I thought there was a note, and it actually talks about, like, the piping system, but maybe we encounter that later, or maybe I missed it. I don't know. And now we're heading to the chancel. And, okay, this is the same thing about the guy who was suffocating. It's not going to reread it. But, yeah, we're getting actually pretty close to the end of the game here. Man, this has actually still been a lot of fun. I just kind of realized exactly friends. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here. I think we're going to have, after this, that'll probably be the last video next time, and we're going to go up through the chancel, we're going to put the orb together, and we are going to try to, how do I want to phrase this? We're going to try to confront Alexander Brennenberg. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you next time.